Hello, hello. Let's get my volume down. Am I live? Is it frozen? I think it's frozen. Oh, wow. I think I'm good. Let's see if it works. 5? Okay, let me know if it's working. 5. Go lie down, please. Go lie down. Good girl. Okay. Am I good? Okay, it looks like it's working. I thought the Deros got me already, y'all. Peace to the east, west, and west, and the south. This is FleurBrun coming to you today with a very interesting topic of discussion. Check on in. Okay, let me move this to the side so I don't keep looking down at your comments. Okay, let's see. I'll put this here so I can see your comments. Should I put it over here? Hold on now. Hold on. Okay, it's a little bit of a delay, so forgive me. I'm gonna look at the comments over here. Hold on. So I don't keep looking. So I'll look on the side. Okay. Yes, I think I got it. Yes, the rhythm of the rebel. Okay, I think I'm good. Can you see me? Okay. All right. Can you hear me okay? Let me know if you can hear me. Check on in. Now, this video may not stay up because when we just start discussing, you're going to understand what this video is about. So let me reconfigure myself. Do you see me a little better? Okay. Okay, I'm going to make sure. It's kind of delayed, so I'm just waiting to see. Okay. So you can hear me fine. Perfect. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. So check on in. The topic is very telling. Okay. And hold on. Let me just make sure. Okay. Hold on. Oh, I'm just okay. All right. All right. I think okay. So check on in. I think I can see you fine. It takes me a little bit to get on here, y'all. And I'm always in the same spot now. You normally I like to be in different spots. So check on in. Okay. All right. I'll wait until we get to 500 and then we'll just put it on. Okay. All right. Hello, hello, hello. I hope everybody's well. I've got some breaking news. It's kind of not breaking news. It's just what I surmised. So, check on it. My lighting's so much different on this than that. Because I'm looking at the lighting on my phone and it's way different than the lighting on my thingamajiggy. Okay. I guess it's fine. The angle is so much better on the live. Okay. So I'll wait until we get to 500 to start up. Okay. Do you want to hear the magua? I have a magua. I'm gonna have my magua. It's actually my daughter's. I got my daughter a magua, but I'm gonna have my magua sing to you. If you know what this is, then you guys are of a certain age. Thank you. Look, Babette. Babette. Look, Babette. Every time Babette hears this thing, I gotta save my magua. Oh, they're howling. Okay, my dogs are howling. I gotta turn them off. Say hi to everybody, Magua. This is my little gizmo Magua. Oh, look, Babette's getting triggered. Babette, it's just a Magua gizmo. Okay. You guys know who it is. That's Gizmo. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's Gizmo, everybody. Welcome to Zoom. I think we're almost to 500. Oh, no, we're not to 500 yet. So I'll wait. So check on in. Okay. Check out. Oh, listen, my dogs are like, I didn't get Spike. My mother's terrified by Spike. If you watch the Gremlins, you guys should watch it again. Imagine, watch it from a different angle now. If you watch Gremlins, like watch it with the children and see the angle you get. It's totally different now. Check on him. Okay. So I'll wait until we get to 500. I hope all is well. This, like I said, I'm not sure that this video, they'll let us stay up because I'm about to get in some really good intel that I personally just surmised. It took me a while. It's been a couple of, I would say, I didn't just surmise it, but I don't think I spoke about it until I figured out what was going on. So it's going to be really interesting, y'all. So make sure it's not after 12, right? Because you feed the magua, right? Okay. My video looks so different on YouTube than it looks on the screen here. Okay. I I broke my other computer. So my camera's way different. Yeah. So anyway. Okay, so I guess we'll come in. Hey, Francine. Francine, you're still in New York, right? Hey, Sven. Hey, Francine, let me give Francine magical powers. That's my homegirl from Melbourne, and she deserves it. If she's been friends with me, if she's okay with me since after going to Mount Vernon, wait, how come I can't give you superpowers? Oh, yeah, I can. I'm giving you superpowers, Francine. Anyone who goes to school with me from Mount Vernon deserves superpowers. If we're still around, we all deserve superpowers. There you go, Francine. I gave you some superpowers. Peace, everybody. Okay. So we'll wait again. We're almost at 500. And again, I'm going to let you know that if you come in here, hey, you're in Mexico. Hello. Hola. ¿Cómo estás, mija? Okay. Hola. Buenos dias. I don't know what time it is for you. For me, it's afternoon. So I say bondage. Bondage. Buenos dias. I think it's buenos dias. You guys still use buenos dias even. There you go. Francine in the house. Love you too, Francine. I told you we used to have parties at her house and my house. Yeah. Should check on it. Okay. Northeast. You were in Florida during the same time you were in Florida? You're back in New York? I know that's right. How's New York? The zombies are all in there, Francine. Be careful. They got the zombie apocalypse coming on the tail end. Um, okay, you've been getting notifications again. Your aunt and uncle lives in Mount Vernon? Oh, snap. Mount Vernon's in the mother freaking house, y'all. I wait until we get to 500 because that way, I don't want anyone to miss what I discuss. It's kind of, so for those who are newer to me, I kind of just, it's bugging me out the lighting. I'm gonna stop looking at the comments because I think me looking at the comments is freaky. Um, because I'm looking at the comments. I'm looking at the screen and you can see me kind of look at the screen there. Okay, so um I wait until 500 because a lot of people come in and if they take my video down, I never know if they'll take my video down or not. So I kind of just have learned. I've been on YouTube a long time, y'all. I haven't just been on the blocks. I've been in YouTube since about 2011. So I'm used to what they do with me, the shenanigans. So I make sure that I set it up so that I can get everybody in to hear, at least 500 people to hear the discussion. Hey, Selma. Selma's in the house too. I spoke to Selma yesterday too. Oh, the OG's in the house. Yeah, so I wait until 500 so people hear me in case they take it down. If they take it down, at least y'all heard me. Okay, because that's, and I'm talking about a very sensitive topic today. So anytime I talk about something like this, I never know. I just make the assumption it's better for me to just get it out as much as I can with as many people as I can. Okay. So, uh, so check on in. Oh, all right. We're almost there. I can't even start off. Hey, Melissa. Melissa's from New York too. See, we got the New Yorkers in the house. Francine's in New York. Melissa's in New York. How's it going, y'all? You got my notification. I'm grateful. Okay. So, oh, we're almost at 500. I can't start early because if I go in, I'm gonna go in. So, oh, thank you, Tanya. Thank you. Mwah. Thank you for my donation. Thank you, Tanya. New York's in the house. Brooklyn's in the house. Okay. My hair's looking a little funky, y'all. I used this stuff on my hair today and it just looks a little weird. Anyway, New York Big Up Dreams. Okay. All right. I think we're almost at 500, y'all. Almost there. Massachusetts in house. That's right next to New York. You're not too far. You're like a little hop over the pond. Okay. NYC, Keisha's from NYC too. New Yorkers are in the house today. I'm starting a little early for y'all, right? No, it's about the same time. I think we're starting at the same time. Rhode Island's right next door. Alabama. Okay. Purplish. Eight tails in the house. Oh, we're at 500. Okay. Peace YouTube, peace to the east, west, north, and south. This is FleurBrun coming to today with a new topic of discussion. So we're going to discuss the directed scalar energy weapons, the K26R Babylonian Satanists, who are Satanic Deros, who have the protection from HIV, cucarachas, and they wear, a head shield, the Kashket and the Kippah. They wear in their head because they overstand and understand because of the direct energy weapons that they created so that they have the protection. I would say complexion for protection, but no, because they're directing that energy, those energy weapons on everyone who is against them. So we're going to talk today about the Deros, the Babylonian Satanic Deros, who are using directed scalar energy weapons to get at people. And I'm going to discuss some of the how they mitigate these weaponries by having some form of uniforms that they have, and blood types and blood disposition that actually gives them protection from the very things that they create to destroy, abuse, and and uh, and bully everybody else. So check on in. So anyway, so we're going to discuss what's going on right now. Right now, for many of you, I think in the Western Hemisphere. Now, if you live in Europe, in if you live in Europe, like in England, I know we have some of our sea stars in the UK, over in London that are feeling some of these directed energy weapons. Some people in Scotland are feeling it. Obviously, Ireland is being targeted heavily because of their anti-Babylon, this anti-Babylonian satanic Deros stance. So they're being constantly bombarded. And I don't want to laugh, but we know what time it is. Okay, so we're going to talk about directed energy scalar weapons and how it's interfacing, and also some of the things that over the last 5 and 6 years, that's why I really want to discuss this. Over the last 5, 6 years, they've created certain kinds of uh how do you consider it? They've created these um like trends and things to do in order to make you more susceptible to energy weapons. So many years, many of you remember, I talked about, and it was something I couldn't talk online. I think I can right now. I talked online about why in many of the houses, I remember the first time I purchased a house in Jersey, the first home I purchased was in Jersey. And I remember at the time being a new home buyer, that the home itself had what was perceivably lead paint all over the house. A lot of the houses back in the days used to have lead paint. I think it's called Doughboys, which was the paint at the time, which had heavy lead in it. And I remember for the first time purchasing a house, and many of you probably have already gone through this, where you've gone in to purchase a home, and right before you're about to, when you do your inspection, they sometimes will have you sign a paper saying that this house has lead paint and to sign on that it has hazard and dangerous. A lot of times what they would try to incentivize, oh, thank you, Sharitha. Nicole, thank you, my mom. I appreciate you. Thank you for using your gifts to educate. Thank you. I appreciate the donation. Thank you, mama. Mwah. Um, so, at the time, they would have you sign a contract saying that you acknowledge that this is hazardous to your house. Many times later on, and that was the first house, but many times later on when I purchased other homes, I realized that they were requesting, a lot of times you request for um, the person who you're purchasing the house from to remedy the lead paint. So to get rid of the red paint, chip it off, and put fresh paint over it because it was considered to be hazardous. Okay. Now, many of you also remember back in the days when we were in school, that's more for millennials. I think more so millennials. You remember when we used to use lead pencils. Lead pencils we use for, especially if we had to take tests, because if you took your SAT or you took standardized testing that went through a computer system, they feed it into a computer system, you would have to use lead pencils as it was required, number two lead pencils while you were taking the test so that can register each of your answers. Now, why I mention this before I'm going into the other things, because it's very relative. Years ago, I didn't understand. I remember talking to my husband, like, why would lead paint be a big deal? I mean, obviously it's everywhere. Even though they said it was dangerous, there were children that got brain damage from having lead in paint, like eating it. Now, I remember in high school, elementary school, Francine probably remembers this. Francine and me went to school together. Do you remember Francine? Like, hey, Yafi, Generation X, Yafi knows. So remember when we were young children and like the boys, mostly boys did this. Some girls probably, but I think you can remember boys like writing on their hand with the lead paint, like the lead pencils, biting the lead pencils. Like we used to write on our hands with the lead pencils. We used to like carve. Remember the wooden desk? Sometimes they would carve on the wooden desk with the lead pencils. So we were exposed to the lead more than anything, more than anyone, right? Because those are the pencils that were required for us for testing, but we used them all the time. I hadn't ever, me personally, I hadn't ever had anyone, and I want you guys to verify, to let me know, because maybe I'm wrong. Had you had anyone in here, please, if you had anyone who was poisoned by lead that you know of personally, or it was you, put a one in the no, put a one. If you never met anyone who if you haven't ever met anyone who got lead poisoning, put a zero. So if you are someone, you know someone who got lead poisoning, you put a one. If you didn't know anyone at all, ever, not even hear of them, put a zero. If you ever heard of it, if you never heard of anyone being poisoned by lead pencils. So one if you did, zero if you hadn't. Please put that in there, because I remember personally there was zero people ever in my life who were ever okay. So there was a couple people. Okay, so Annie did, a couple people did. Okay, so there's a couple people in here. Okay, let's look at the majority. Okay, there's a couple people who did, a few people who are okay. So this is good. I love doing this little sample because we get to see people who are exposed to it. Okay, there are people who were. Okay, but the majority of people weren't. Okay, so just why I mentioned that, and it's good. Thank you for everyone being very transparent and honest. Those who were exposed, those who knew people personally that were affected by the lead. But for the most part, oh, from lead paint. Okay, some of them were from lead paint. Okay, still have lead from your leg. Pencils doing it fine. Okay, so what I wanted to do with this little sample, and I love it. Keep going, y'all, because this is a good sample. Why I wanted to do this little sample and ask you is because the majority of people in our lives, unlike a few, because there are a few people, and I want to acknowledge them though. I want to acknowledge that the few people were exposed to it and had gotten sick. And most of them were from the lead paint, okay? But the majority of people weren't as affected by it, okay? Now, why I mention that is because usually when they make regulatory new regulations regarding something, it's usually an overwhelming amount of people and children that are exposed to lead that get really, really sick. So then they make regulations to protect people, children, and pets. Because again, it not only just affects us, our children, but it can affect the pets too. But why I mention this is because the reason why lead was removed, and this is my personal opinion, okay? So just remember, y'all, this is my opinion. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm not an expert. So I'm just telling you, is that lead in itself was a protectant from radiation and also from scalar weaponry of things radionics going through your walls. Like when they were able to survey people's houses, they had a hard time using X-ray radionics frequencies to see through the walls. So one of the reasons why lead, this is my opinion, lead was taken out of our homes wasn't as much for protection as it was for being able to fully prepare and get everyone ready for the surveillance society that we are now seeing unfold at this moment. Okay, lead stops that. That's why you see places, even when they have their underground bunkers, do you know how thick the lead is under the underground bunkers? Even your Willy Wonka system, they surround themselves in places where they discuss things with other Willy Wonka, officials, and they only talk in places where they're surrounded by lead. So it deters any sort of, bleed over or being able to register or see through the walls or actually be able to survey inside of the walls. Okay. So that being said, I wanted to bring that up because it's relative to what I'm going to talk about with the scalar weaponries. A lot of the things that we have had and what's been promoted to us, demonized and basically demonized, or things that they promote or deter from our engagement in, it is purposefully done in order to make you more susceptible to mind control programming, attacks from scalar weaponries, which are ongoing now to the ridiculous degree, and all those beta tests of people who are hearing people who are very sensitive to radio frequencies that what we perceive to be the targeted. Oh, thank you, Crip Walk. They not like us. They not like us. Thank you, Crip Walk. I appreciate the donation. When we talk about the deterrence of certain things, it's because they're trying to make you more susceptible. And if you remember, I think many of you remember the targeted individuals. And some of you may know, it doesn't have to be you were from the UFO community. You probably heard this if you were just from the Intellis community, where there were people that used to hear like sounds in their ears. Like targeted individuals used to, a lot of the main ones used to say they would hear people talking in their ears. It wasn't schizophrenia. It wasn't some sort of bipolar disorder. It wasn't some sort of psychotic episode. Now, there are people who do experience that, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about targeted individuals who are the beta tests of Willy Wonka systems that were literally being used as a way to test a lot of these radionic frequency assault weaponries that Willy Wonka had created way before. I personally think even way before World War One. Okay, they probably tested during World War Two, and a lot of these camps and these camps in Germany. I think Germany and Russia probably had a lot of programs where they did a lot of this radio frequency testing. And the Nazis were contracted by our Willy Wonka system to be able to give them a lot of the intel that they gained when they were doing a lot of experiments on the gypsies, the Jews, the people that they kind of collected during World War II. Okay, so that the Nazis definitely were using this technology, and I know that my opinion that our Willy Wonka system contracted them for that reason so that they would use this later on their own societies, their own citizens. Okay, so you would hear targeted individuals always talk about how they would hear voices in their head. Sometimes they would hear like people eating dinner. Like that's how you knew it was from something like it was some sort of lab or some sort of governmental underground or office or a place where they were listening and the people could hear what was going on the other side as well. So not only would they hear voices that were literally being targeted towards them, but they would also hear some of the interface, like if the person was eating dinner, they could hear the glasses, or people eating with a fork, they could hear them eating. They could hear people talking in the background, dogs barking. So it literally was a two-way. Project Paperclip. Thank you, Yafi. Yes. Project. Uh-uh. They're doing it already. They're targeting. I may have to get off, y'all. They just did something. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, they're working on me, y'all. Hold on. Hold on 1 minute. They're doing something and I have to address it. I may have to come back later. Hold on. Give me 1 minute. Give me like 2 minutes, y'all. Okay. Okay, y'all. It's an attack. They're doing an attack, but it's okay. It looks like we're gonna throttle it. Okay. This is what I'm talking about. You see how they direct, there was something that happened. As soon as it's like someone contacts me, something is happening to them because they know I'm on here. So we already throttled it. I will be here. I'm gonna give you the rest of the information. Can't stop, won't stop. Okay, so let's go. Make sure you can hear me. Put a 13 if you can hear me inside of the chat, please. Put a 13 if you can hear me. I'm sorry about that. So let's deter them. They're trying to stop me. And those are the K26R crew, the Babylonia Satanists. They always mess with your people. They'll attack your family. They'll do things that mess with your dogs. They don't want this message to get out. So let's get it. Don't stop, can't stop. Okay, so we're going to get it. Okay, so I was talking about lead. Thank you. I'm glad everyone heard me. I was talking about lead. I may have to leave early, but I'm going to get everything out as quickly as possible. We were talking about lead, the attacks, and the assault. Okay, so we're talking about targeted individuals who are hearing voices in their head. And again, it was a two-way exchange. I think we've heard about people like Max Spears. Big up to Max Spears. I really adored Max Spears. Many of you know Max Spears. I know Yafi knows Max Spears. Cherish. A lot of our Sea Stars and Sun Stars know Max Spears. He lost his life giving us a lot of information. It's really sad because, I think a lot of times you don't realize when people share this information with you, um, it puts a target, and sometimes you have to gauge whether it's worth the risk sometimes, because I've been about this life and it's what I'm directed to do, is what I always will do. Again, it's my life. There's a lot of times where people will give so much information that they will target them for so long until they're not here anymore. So I want to give a big up and a rest in para to Max Spears. Who is an incredible man, really gave us a lot of information. Please look up his information. He talked about a lot of these directed energy weapons. You know what I mean? People being targeted purposefully by Willy Wonka. Sometimes they're able to even take your soul out of your body and place it inside of other bodies, clones of you in other alternative realities, and harass you and aggravate you and bully you to make you do things or to make you fearful so that you don't talk about anything. I also want to, and this is not advertisement, why I made this video, it's so important. I want to talk to the moms real quick because we talked about lead. I think it's really important. Mommies, abuelas, daddies, uncles, big brothers, big sisters. I think we really have to take in consideration the assaults that they're doing, not only just with energetic assaults, but on the food, on the air, and a lot of different things, and how you're able to mitigate some of these attacks. So I definitely want to, I'm not getting paid by these people. I'm a mom, and I have little ones, and I always want to protect, because I'm like that. I want to extend that to other people so that they know. And also some of the adults who are in here who don't know how to find out if there's lead in their foods. Now, as much as lead is a protectant, just for things that it's amazing. They don't want lead so out on your outer perimeters or anywhere on the outside. They do sometimes put lead in food. So sometimes the food, like a more toxic version of it. So, just you got to be careful. We can't just stay in one arena where we say, oh, lead is fabulous. It's wonderful if we keep it. You know what I mean? Lead is, wonderful, and it protects us, and we can, and if we have it, it protects us from them listening to us. Absolutely. But you got to be careful, because on one end, it can be a protectant for disallowing them to have access to you. But on another level, they can put it in your food and put in places where it could be toxic to your organs. We shouldn't be ingesting it. We shouldn't be having it in our food. And it certainly shouldn't be something we should be having, interface with daily. So I always say, as moms or so on, this is like the lead swab test. Can you guys see it? I don't know if you can see it. Can you guys see it? Let me know if you can see it. This is a lead swab test, right? So this is to test if there's like lead in food, if you have little ones. We had mommies who tested their Fruit Loops and not Fruit Loops. What are those things? Like, remember moms used to give, I never gave my children Cheerios or so on, but you know how moms will give their children little snacks or what have you. A lot of times what happens, and make sure the date is correct on the top. You want to make sure it's a pretty decent new date on the top. You want to take one of these swabs, and you want to test. I want to show you. I'm just opening it for y'all. Wow. Ooh, it's got a funky smell. So it's like a swab like this. You want to take a swab like this and swab around whatever you're trying to test for lead. Cheerios. I hope you're not giving your children Cheerios, but anything that you feel it might be incepted. These are what ground coffee. Well, graphene is in ground coffee, especially if it's not organic, and Swiss water wash, the process. You want to test everything, especially if you have little ones. You want to make sure that you're testing it to see if there's anything on the little things. I suggest, just as a mom, especially with little ones, you want to make sure you're not letting your little ones eat those little snacks without knowing, because again, a lot of these companies, even though we vet them out, they're changing, they're adding things, they're really trying to get over. So I always say it's best to test it. And also, we've always discussed this. Everything that you consume, you should be washing. And because of the spores, I talked about the silos. A lot of your rices, your beans, your lentils, your oats. Oats is toxic because of the amount of spores that's on there. The silos rice, everything that's stored in silos has a lot of a like a sporish. It's very sporish, and that's what builds that big C in your gut if you don't watch it. So I always talk about washing everything that you have coming out of your grocery store should be washed before you put it in your fridge, and all your legumes, all of your meats, anything that you consume should be definitely soaked and washed because of that. Again, baking soda should be your best friend, and you should be cleaning everything because that kills spores. Okay. And many of you know, like if you were living in Florida, you already know vinegar, white vinegar is something they don't present to us anymore. That is also something that kills fungi and spores like immediately. Some of us from Florida know that because we have a lot of mold, especially from the humidity. That's a big thing. So you should be cleaning everything. You shouldn't be consuming. So I wanted to give this especially to the mommies because a lot of you, and for adults too, but a lot of moms don't know what to give their children, and you should not be giving them like anything with grains. If you look at the parasites in grains, like little cookies, and also mommies, be careful about all these cookies and snacks. A lot of you have little boys, and little boys are hypersensitive to what? Estrogen. If you look at all of these little cookies, even when they say organic, it's crazy how you could go to Whole Foods, go to the organic cookie. I think I did a video on this. Look at the cookies. All of the cookies have soy lecithin as their preservative. All of them. They never used to have that in organic. And then when you go to the non-organic, they don't have soy. So they're up on you. So don't think now, because they already found out that we've been going to organic. So what they did is infiltrate the organic by putting mushrooms. They want fungi and everything, and they definitely want estrogen. So mommies, be careful. Your little boys shouldn't be touching anything with plastic. I don't care if it says BPA free. BPA is just one of the estrogen mimickers, but there's a host of others. So if you have little boys, it should be glass. You shouldn't be using microwaves. Glass bottles, if you're feeding them with that, you should not be messing with anything soy. It should be no soy water, soy milk, soy anything, okay? And just, and also for sea stars, be careful with flax because flax destabilizes. My opinion, I'm not a doctor, not anything. I'm a clown. I'm crazy. Don't listen to me. Okay. Be careful with also messing with things with too much, because anything that they promote to you, y'all, it is definitely to destabilize us. And too much flax also messes with our hormones. So everybody's doing flax. There's flax and everything, flax, flax. Anything in moderation isn't going to hurt you. But if they're promoting it and it's in everything, then they want to overwhelm your body with something to cause other issues. Okay, so just be careful with the flax, women. A lot of women's thyroids and hormones are really being funked up, really funked up. So just be careful. If they promote it to you, you should stay away from it. Any trending, all these people, oh, veganism. Veganism killed so many people, y'all, and jacked up their hormones that they're not talking about it anymore. A lot of women were destabilized, their hair started dropping out, their teeth started to break, all because of veganism. Veganism isn't a lifestyle that you could uphold for a long period of time. It's good for detoxing. If you're a really big meat eater, very heavy into meat, it's good to clear your body out, but too long of anything can destabilize it, especially women. Our hormones are so sensitive, especially with everything that they're putting in there. So I just want to put that out there. Okay, that's it. Just that's just a FYI. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. It's my opinion. This is what I do. Okay, for myself. Okay, so I'm just giving you opinion what I do. I would just be careful with that. And really, everyone should be definitely cleaning everything with that baking soda, y'all. It's why baking soda has gone up in price. It's all over the place. Okay, so and I know I'm not against mushrooms, y'all. I haven't ever been anti mushrooms, but this isn't the climate when you have so much radionic frequencies. And if you see fungi eats radiation and it grows. Why do you think people have the super C right now? So that's why they promote a lot of mushrooms. They want people to have more mushrooms. Just look at the trend. Don't even listen to me. This one thing I say, try not to listen to me, y'all. Do your own diligence to look into the things that I'm talking about. Do not take me as the guru of any information. Go look into what I discuss and see if it's valid and is valid and there's credence to what I'm sharing with you. Once you find that out, you'll just take what I give you and you vet it out and see if it's relative to you. Okay. My opinion is that mushrooms is being pushed heavily because it is a fungi. And if you look at Fukushima, I talked about this already, the fungus among us, Fukushima, and if you look at what happened at Chernobyl, when the radiation was at its highest, the fungus was eating the radiation. It was symbiotic with it. Why? That's what it, so it overgrows. And it also loves sugar. Go look at the distilleries in the West Indies. Go to some of the distilleries, I think in St. Croix. I think where's the biggest rum place, y'all? Is it St. Croix or St. Vincent? I'm not sure if it's St. Croix. Anybody in here from St. Croix? Um, anybody from St. Croix or St. Vincent? I forgot which one it is. There's one place that is really big into making rum. A lot of the Caribbean islands do it, but it might be St. Croix. But some of you know better. So I don't want to. I want our Caribbean people to tell me because I'm not. I'm unsure of which place that has more distilleries. But needless to say, is that in the distilleries, the distillery will pump out like sugar in the air. And all around those places, there's fungi on all the trees. Go and look at people who talk about when the distilleries and outside the distilleries because they pump that, the air, the distillery has the air going out. Is it Barbados? It might be Barbados. It pumps out in the air and then all the fungi is all over the trees. Look at the fungi on the trees. You got to look this up because it'll give you credence to what I'm sharing with you. So when they're pumping you full of, when they're trying to pump you full of these things, when they're projecting things to you, you have to know, even if it's something that normally is good, it isn't harmful. It under a certain environment, in a certain environment, it can be toxic. It can be used to be weaponized to hurt you. Okay, so I'm just putting that out there, y'all. Okay, so let's go into targeted weapons. So we talk about targeted individuals who are hearing radioactive frequencies through their ears. And some would say, how are they able to have that target weaponing affecting certain people? Well, back in the days, we found out that many people who would go into get their teeth done. You go to the dentist and you get, a filling. You would go to, people still had mercury fillings. You would go and get your teeth filled. You would get maybe, dental work. Maybe you had a surgery. A lot of times, generally, I personally, this is my opinion, and some of you who may know better, I personally think that the radionic frequencies, the beta test that they were doing on certain bits of the population, I actually think it was dental work. Now, or because I think that the chip that they would have to place would be in your jawline or around here, right? So some of you can let me know if you have a better idea. Now, yes, we have nanotechnology. They could put a chip in your body, but in order to hear the sounds like a radio frequency, I personally think it would have to be somewhere in here to be able to transmit radio frequencies that you could hear. So give me your opinion about that. I'm open to opinions about that. That's just I'm surmising that based on what I know. And remember, mercury is an amplifier. So why a lot of times I think it's mercury that was affecting people and targeting people in order for them to hear the radio frequencies. Mercury is an amplifier. That's why in a lot of your old television sets, remember they used to have that liquid little vial in your television sets? That was an amplifier, a radio frequency amplifier. So a lot of it's a conductor. So a lot of times I think, this is my opinion, let's get some wonderful vetted people, especially the guys in here. Some of you are really savvy in knowing this. A lot of times what would happen is that with the mercury, they were able to amplify radio frequencies. And that's why I think those people were more susceptible to being targeted for those beta tests, DARPA programs where they were testing them for radio frequencies being heard in their ears. Okay, so let me know, y'all. Just let me know if that's something that you kind of surmise yourself. I'm always open for hearing your opinion as well. So we're talking about targeted weaponry. We're talking about lead paint. We're talking about things that the Willy Wonka, the Satanic K26R Babylonian Satanic Deros were doing to everyone. Okay, now while they're doing that to you, while they're directly attacking the citizens of the planet, because it's not just here, y'all. even though the main targeted individuals are definitely in Europe and in the United States, Canada, Australia. Our Australians are being assaulted right now. Let me give a shout out to our Australians and New Zealand too, because you have a lot of these dark satanic people moving to your island right now. I'm really disturbed. New Zealand might be the hub of the Babylonian Deros. Okay, so let me give a shout out to the Australians. We see you. I know that they don't allow you to talk to us. We don't hear your videos as much, but we see you and we understand you and we have a lot of compassion for you. So our Australian family, don't think because you don't get a chance to talk to us right now or you don't have the freedom of speech that we forget about you. We know very well that they're assaulting you. They're using weaponry on you. Your Willy Wonka system is really, controlling and they're just you're on the assault list. So I just wanted to say to our family in Australia and New Zealand, we see you. I think a lot of times people forget because once we don't hear them on YouTube, they're being controlled and they're being censored. We think that they don't exist. We see you from the Intellis community. Don't think we don't think about you, and we're sending a lot of love and protection to you as well. Also to our family in South Africa, don't worry, we see you as well. I know that you're being assaulted right now. Also in Somali and Sudan, we see that the Willy Wonka system has targeted you. Yemen, we know that your bloodline matters, so that's why you're getting unsepted so badly. So don't think we're not thinking about you and seeing you. And also the people in Congo, the young people in Congo who are being assaulted daily and being incepted constantly and being infiltrated. We definitely see you, and we want to send out a lot of positive energy to you as well. Okay, I really want you to know that. So let's go into when we were talking about the Deros and their infiltration when using directed energy weapons. So when we talk about some of the assaults that they do, we also have to bring up the fact that, let's see, they use other forms of inception in the body to be able to allow to make you more susceptible to infiltration. Now, many of you realize, I wrote it down, hold on. Many of you realize, like even with the whole promotion of um, natural hair, the natural hair movement. I'm sorry to say that was it was purposefully projected to you as a weaponization. And you would say, wow, why would they ever now? Listen to me first, okay? So listen to me first. I know this is going to sound crazy. So remember, this is my opinion, and you are more than welcome to always vet everything out I share with you, okay? Because my mindset is a lot different than most people, and I see from a more of a clinician kind of mindset. So know that anything I share with you, vet it out. I could be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. You don't know me from Adam. You don't know me from anyone. It would be only your you should be your due diligence to always vet everything out I share with you. Okay. So just with the hair stuff, the whole natural hair movement was a psyop. And why is because they wanted you to be more susceptible to frequency assaults. And if many of you don't realize, your central nervous system, your hair is connected to your central nervous system through sensory nerve fibers and automatic nerve fibers. Okay. So what happens a lot of times is your hair is an antenna, right? It can feel frequencies. And women of color, you have the most kinetic hair. 9 ether hair is the most powerful in picking up galactic frequencies because you have the coilers. The Tesla coils were mimicked, and where your hair was the blueprint for many of the technology we're seeing nowadays, where they use Tesla coils and other coils to amplify frequencies and to pull in and to reset out. Okay, so 9 ether hair is probably the most kinetic hair, but in it itself, for after the last maybe 1960s, wait, 19, let me get it right. For those of you from I think from 1940s, I'm not sure when the perm was created. Many of women of color, and let me go a little further back. Many women of color were denoted in ancient times. And when I say ancient, like the 1800s, 1700s, many people loved the way women of color had their hair. I want to say this because the psyop now is that women of color hate their hair, they wear weaves. They always bring it to another point, they incept it. Women of color were denoted to having the most beautiful and unique hair. And I'm talking about women who had very coily hair. Now, even though people say the most demonic things about their hair now, women of color also, their hair was soft like cotton. In your biblical books, like the Bible, it talked about your Jesus having hair that was of like wool. The only hair that's like wool, like sheep, it's funny to me that no one would go around demonizing sheep's hair. No one would go around saying, "Oh my God, I hate sheep's hair. It's so awful." Every time I've gone to a farm with my children, with other people, all complexions, lunar, brown, Asian, they love to touch the sheep's hair. They love the softness of it. They always say it's beautiful, and they always are fascinated to kind of rake their hands over the hair because it's so beautiful and so unique. Also, all of your clothing that comes from cotton, a lot of brown people's hair was compared to cotton, feeling like cotton. So that was something that was denoted before, maybe in the 17th, 18th century, from people of color that had more coily hair or fluffy hair or ether hair. They were always denoted as being beautiful and very unique. A lot of people used to try to have their hair look like that, especially in the 60s. Everybody wanted a fro. A lot of your Jewish people in the 60s, because they had thicker hair, also mimicked a lot of fros. So fros were very fashionable, replicatable. People wanted their hair to look like that. So I want to put that out there because when we talk about hair and then promoting certain things, I want you to understand and understand that a lot of the things they promote is literally to use their weaponry with it. So just like I talk about mushrooms, mushrooms aren't negative on its own. Mushrooms in itself are used in a lot of cultures for healing, for some people use it for psychedelic reasons, but mushrooms haven't ever been something that was denoted as negative in an environment that we have now. Oh, thank you, my love. Thank you, Divinity, for giving me a donation. Thank you so much. I was driving while listening to you, and the car shut down randomly while you were talking and targeting. I think you attacked me too. I'm so sorry, my love. I'm sorry. It could happen. I don't want to say that because they don't want you to listen to this message because I haven't even got to the main point. Okay. And they were already coming at people I knew, and it may be that as well. So I'm sorry. So stay higher vibration. Can't stop, won't stop. They could try, but they won't win. Okay. So when we talk about here, they'll use certain things like the mushrooms. It's environment. Like people will say, well, copper is a great thing. Copper's cleaning, it's cleansing. Remember, all of your houses used to have copper pipes because copper was a natural disinfectant, right? So even now, I actually think copper is a wonderful thing as a disinfectant. A lot, actually, back in the days, most cups, uh, goblets were made of copper in order to disinfect and purify the water. But in a time when they're using negative ionospheric radio frequencies that are targeting metallic metals and amplifiers, it can be used as a weapon towards you or biologically affect you. So I don't see this. That's what I'm saying. You have to use your discernment. When you hear certain things, when someone says something negative about something, it doesn't mean that it's always like that. It means that they could be using an aspect of it to weaponize it now. Doesn't mean always. Okay. Use your discernment. Because when I talk about things, it's not that I'm talking about it as being negative overall. I'm talking about how they're using it to target you. Okay, so when I go into hair, knowing that the hair is connected to your nervous system, I'm going to talk about the Babylonian Satanic Deros and what they do, and then I'm going to talk about the trends and the push that they wanted women of color to have their coils and their natural hair. Now, I want to also, I know I'm going all over the place, so this is how my mind works. This is Sagittarius. Just let me cook, y'all, because I'm going from all angles and it's coming in my head, and I need to quickly give it to you before it dissipates because it's pertinent and it's important to what I'm talking about. Remember, at the time when pro-black big afros was being promoted as part of the anti-establishment, pro-black, being loving yourself as a melanated person, do know at that time, that is when they were most susceptible to being attacked, arrested, and that's when they fell. Listen to me, y'all. I'm cooking. Listen to me, and listen with a long stick, because I'm gonna build it in. Remember, at the time of the 60s and 70s, where brown people were wearing the most afros, is when they were more susceptible to being attacked, uh, convoluted, and they were dissipated during that time. Their power was dissipated the most. Hold that. Hold that for me, okay? Just hold it. I want you to hold that, because I'm cooking with that. So when we go into a time, did they stop it? Okay, I'll keep going. So when we're talking about the K26R Babylonian Satanic Deros, it's interesting when you look from the angle of the things that they do that are protecting their heads, their domes, by wearing Kashket, kippahs, or some would say, sometimes I don't want to say the other word because then they'll denote to that. So kippahs and caskets, okay? Just look it up. Don't ask. Don't you want to talk about anything? I won't say it, okay? Because I would like this video to stay up. I hope it does, okay? They wear this on their domes, and not only do they wear it on the domes, they wear it on top of their head, covering the part of the head where, when you're a baby, when you have that opening right here, when you're a baby, now, many of you who may have not had children, some of you have, you've been around babies, their skull cap, their skull doesn't completely fuse when they're babies. That's why when you have a little newborn, you got to be very careful. That's why we generally put hats over their heads to protect this part of their head, because it's still very soft, right? And some of you who have been psychic or are able to see auras are able to see the beautiful thread that sometimes shimmies over the baby's head. Like, I have seen this. My girlfriend Kay, when her daughter was born, she actually got a chance to see, if you're very psychic, usually mothers after giving birth, if they're eating really healthy, they can actually see the little shimmers above this part of their crown. Okay. Any moms can denote it, grandmothers, sometimes you see it, sometimes men, if they're very sensitive, can see it. It's literally like sparkles that are like a little, it's the actual silver lining that comes from this part that you can see, that's in this part. Okay. Now, when they're using scalar technology to attack someone, generally the part of their head is the base of their skull. Not the base of the skull, it's the mid part right below this. If you go directly down above, like right here, can you guys see it right here? Right here? Okay, that's the part that the scalar, when they have direct scalar weapons, that's the part of your head where they will attack when they're directing scalar weapons directly at you. Okay, now why is that important? Because there are groups of people, including the K26R Babylonian Satanic Deros, who have, in their very lifestyle, created mitigators to protect their people, they satanic demons, against the very thing that they are going to weaponize and utilize against others who they perceive to be golem, or whatever they perceive, Gentiles, or whatever they consider them to be. Okay? The fact of the matter is, the reason and it's not only them, the Deros, who have this type of protective cap beanie that's placed on this area to protect them from energy weapons and other assaults. There are other groups of people that also do this, which is the Moors do it. The Moors wear pheasants. What do they call pheasants? Pheasants? Anyone have pheasants? What is it called, y'all? I think the Moors wear, what is it called? Pheasants. Can someone put that in the chat so I know what that is? Pheasants? Spell it for me. I want to, turbans. Yeah, tanbish. Tanbish? Is it called tanbish? Fez. It's a fez. Okay. Fez, a fez. Okay, thank you. A fez. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, it's fez. Okay, thank you for that. So the reason why there are certain people, because you have to think, you ask yourself a question. How come there's so many different people that have this hat, these head adornments that they wear? And you think to yourself, well, this is maybe just ritualistic. Maybe it has a spiritual meaning, and I don't doubt it. I don't doubt that a kippah or a fez or a kashket could be very spiritual in the practices or in the ritual that the beings who are doing it are engaging in. I don't really, I think it could be many things rather than just one. But I think the origin of having certain beings, because I'm going to link it, could not only the Babylonian satanic Deros do this, the Jesuits, because the Pope also wears what is looked to be like a kippah as well. Why is a Christian Pope, why is someone who's Christian wearing, especially like the Catholic, especially in Catholicism, why are they also wearing it as well? If you notice, they also wear the kippahs, what is deemed to be looks like kippahs, and they wear little beanies on their head. Let's go into, whenever you go into the Masonic temples or the Masonic lounges, whenever you're seeing the Masons in their full regalia, they're also wearing kippahs. You get where I'm going, y'all? You get what I'm cooking here? You with me? I'm cooking, okay? And there's some other things that's interesting because the women of the Babylonian satanic Deros also wear head covers, but they do like the nuns do in shaving off their head and putting on the nuns will put on habits. Okay, with the habits, the nuns will put on habits, right? If you look at the women in the Middle East, the Arab women, the Muslim women, the women of Islam, they also put on the what is it called? What is it called when the women in hold on now. Oh gosh. I say it all the time. What the women in Islam in what is it called, y'all? The headpiece and the clothing they wear. It's called I know you're gonna say it, so hold on. I'll wait until someone says it. I know, oh God. I say it all the time. It's just it's lost me. So you have the nuns that wear the habit, hijab. Thank you, y'all. Hijab. So you have the women of Islam, of the Muslim faith, wearing the hijab, and you have the women in Catholicism that are the nuns wearing the habit, and then you have the men of those same of different backgrounds, religious, engaging and wearing what we consider to be a kippah, which is like um a little beanie over their head, and then ours a burqa too. You have burqa too, a kafan. There's different names for a burqa. Okay, so different names for it. Thank you for giving me the names, y'all. Thank you, I appreciate it because I don't necessarily know all the names. Okay, so very much so, it is to protect them from energy weapons. Now, why I'm going to go into the hair and the women is very important. The women who wear the hijab don't always shave off their hair. Actually, I know them to do the opposite. And women of Islam, Muslim women, can you please, our Muslim sea stars, can you please let me know? As far as I know, because with anyone I've known, they leave their hair long underneath the hijab, the women, the Arab women and the African women. They leave their hair long underneath their hair, just braided or alone. As far as I know, with the nuns who wear the habits, they shave their hair off. And then it's a process and it's a ritual before they are given their habits, before they cross over and be the wives of God or Jesus or whatever the case is, right? And then also with our other groups of women, our Judaic women, the Orthodoxy women, they also do a ritual where they shave off their natural hair and they wear sometimes wraps. The Jewish women, the Orthodoxy women, Hasidic women, they also do this ritual where they shave their hair off. And not all, because I know Jewish women that did not do it, even though it was part of the practice. But many of them that I do know, and especially I'm from the sector of Jewish women that are from Brooklyn. It's just that's more of the group that I'm more exposed to. I know some of them do it, but some of them don't shave their hairs, but most of them do. And they have wigs that are made to look like the hair that they shaved off. Now, that is why I'm going to use this and build upon. I'm cooking. Why is it that our Orthodoxy women who are Orthodoxy Hasidic Jewish women, why is it that they shave their hair off? Beautiful, because some of them have really thick hair, beautiful hair. They shave their hair off and they purchase wigs. They purchase wigs of the same texture and likeness of the hair they shaved off. Now, I'm going to go back, y'all. I'm going to rewind. I'm rewinding. Remember, I told you the hair is connected to the central nervous system through the sensory nerve and automatic nerve fibers. This matters because what if certain religious groups are given certain types of practices, rituals, and propensities, perpetuated propensities with their religious regalia that is purposefully created in order to protect them from the very things that will be geoengineered or are already being geoengineered and directed towards other groups of people. Because if your hair is connected to your central nervous system and we have rogue radiation and radioactive frequencies going all over the place that generally will affect someone's nervous system when the hair picks up because it's an antenna. Your hair is an antenna. When your hair picks up the frequency, it could cause you to get sick. It can literally, frequencies could be sent, and if your hair has more amplification and picking it up, it literally will pick up those radio frequencies and it can mess with your body. Okay? Now, why does this matter? Because the very two women that practice shaving their hair, which is the women who are nuns, who shave their hairs and wear their habit, and also the Jewish women, the more so, I don't want to say Jewish because not all Jewish women do this. Everyone just use your discernment when I say these things. Not all Jewish women do this. Only some. The Hasidic, some Sephardic as well. I can't say it's just the Hasidic. It's some Sephardic too, because the Sephardic also practice in some of these religious practices like Christians, because remember, they're following very similar holy books. It's the same book, the Old Testament, right? So they have a lot of the same practices. But I find it interesting that the ones who don't shave off their hair are from Islam, for the Muslim women from Islam, and the women from the Jewish faith, and also from the Christian faith that are deep into the religious aspect of it, like the nuns, because those are the hyper religious women, they shave off their hair and then put the habit on. And then also with the Jewish women, they shave off their hair and put wigs that look very similar to the hair texture and likeness of their hair. Now, why am I talking about this? I got to go back to the targeting weaponry, the directed scalar weapons. And the fact is of the matter is there are certain groups of people that have a blueprint of protection built in with them with a lifestyle, a religious practice, rituals that make them less attackable and less likely to be a victim of the very things that are being perpetuated throughout society globally. Okay? And I'm going to go into the natural hair care system because that is why this is my opinion, y'all. And it's going to, listen, it's not going to sound great because it really sucks. Because I think wearing your hair natural in its natural condition is the most healthy thing for you. But there are certain women that have a heightened amplification with their coils that pull in all the frequencies, doesn't matter if it's good or bad, that it will pull in those frequencies and it pulls it in more than others. So that's why women who have more flank hair, very straight hair, they're probably less susceptible to being as affected to rogue radio frequencies that have to do with the hair. Because the more flank the hair, the less registerable and the less that it's connected to getting those high frequencies like a coil would. A coil is an amplifier. It amplifies the effect of being to pick up frequencies and pulling it in. And if hair is connected to the central nervous system, then those who have the most coily hair, the 9 ether hair, are definitely going to be more susceptible to any targeted frequencies sent out by direct scalar weaponry. Now I'm cooking here, cooking here. Stay with me. Everybody okay? I may not be able to stay on long. I'm cooking. So stay with me because it's going to go more diabolical. What if I told you that they have amped up with the um with the um with the fiber optics? If many of you remember in 2020, many of you remember, while they were telling everybody to stay in their house, to self-isolate, that there was this crazy rock bop all around the place, that you staying in your house was better. Let me go back a little bit. Can I go back a little bit, y'all? Can I go back a little better? Can I go? I'm gonna have to go back. I'm gonna do a rewind, okay? I want to go there, but I gotta go back a little bit. I'm going back in time, okay? So before this, some of you remember who have children that were in school, okay? Let me put some lip gloss. The nine ether, it can be protective too, Lean. I'm going there. Just stay with me. Stay with me. Okay. Remember, I told you in the 60s, when women were wearing their hair the most natural is when they got the most attacked. We're living in a simulation where everything is zeros and ones. There's binary codes and there's frequencies rolling all the time. Okay. Let me go back because I saw that comment and I want you to know your hair, nine ether hair, is beautiful and it is protective from radiation, ordinary radiation. And before I get so much things in my head, you got to go look up the man with the hole in his head. The experiment that was done on these Mississippi brown melanated boys when they were testing to see how much radiation they could give them before their brains would melt. One of the young men survived. He's regarded as the man with the hole in his head. I'm cooking, y'all. Just look into it. Don't let me go off about because I gotta rebound. I gotta go back. Okay. I want you to look at that toe. Write it down because I'm going all over the place. The man with the hole in his head. You got to look that up. There was a whole bunch of boys, I think Mississippi or Alabama, because someone verified it's Alabama or Mississippi. They were testing, the Willy Wonka system was testing radiation on melanated boys. And this one boy survived, unfortunately, and he had a hole in his head from how much radiation they were exposing to him. And they were using it directed on their hair because they were trying to see how melanated hair, how much radiation, what kind of radiation would mess with them. Because most radiation doesn't mess with melanated people because coily hair is a protectant for gamma radiation. But they created a kind of radioactive radionics frequency that would infiltrate and be able to hurt people with coily hair. Let me go back. So do you remember in about 2017, let's go, mommies, abuelas, daddies, big brothers, young people who were in school at the time. Do you remember in 2015 to 16, and all of the elementary, high schools, and middle schools, they started to give children laptops? I think it was 2016, 17. Can someone verify? I remember because I remember my children being in school and they were giving out free laptops. Do you guys remember? Let's go. We're cooking. I may have to leave in a minute. I'm trying to get it there. Okay. Okay. They were giving laptops for free. Now, mind you, most children before then were using textbooks, paper, testing on paper, even still using, I think, lead pencils, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Okay. What year was it? 2000s, 2019. Okay. Okay. I remember one year, all of a sudden, out of the blue, my children were given laptops out of the blue. And I thought to myself, because I was already a conspiracy theorist, that this has to do with something else that they were also starting to promote in mothers' houses and parents' houses. Remember, not everybody at the time had Wi-Fi in their house. Do you guys remember Wi-Fi? Many of us didn't have Wi-Fi in the house. I remember having a little bit of a heated discussion with someone I knew because I didn't want to put Wi-Fi in my house. Because I was under the tutelage of Dr. Delwood Blair. Big up to Dr. Delwood Blair. Anybody who knows Dr. Delwood Blair, I was under his tutelage for many, many years. So I already understood that Wi-Fi was negative to the biosphere, to your body. to have that in the house when you wanted to sleep and have peace was unhealthy. So even at the time I had Android phones, I didn't have an iPhone, and I still was using what is it? Minutes. What is not minutes? What is it called? Like digital, whatever's on the phone. Like you don't use oh God, what is it called? Um, it's crazy. I don't remember the little term. Like when you're not data. I was using regular data. Okay, and it gets expensive if you remember your phones only had a certain amount of data. Cooking y'all. Remember this? I'm building the narrative that I know that I feel like I know that they're doing. We were using data on our phones, okay? And I had an Android at the time. And I remember they were pushing for people to have Wi-Fi in the house, but not everybody was up on it, right? Because it was another cost. Some people didn't want to pay for it. It was more expensive at the time, right? And most people, or prepaid, right? Track phones, whatever it was, didn't have a phone. But I remember right before the giving of the laptops, maybe a year or 6 months before. I don't know when, y'all, maybe some of you have that memory. I remember before they gave laptops to the children in school, that all of a sudden I was getting these notes in my mail, or like advertisements saying we could get free Wi-Fi, that we were offering free Wi-Fi. I don't know if many, and it was through the schools. Do you guys remember? Some of you may have gotten it, some of you not. I don't know. This was Florida at the time. They were offering free Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi through the schools. Okay. I only got a couple minutes. I gotta say this quick. Um, so um didn't think about it. I was like, okay, why are they offering free Wi-Fi? I was like, they're probably doing something. They're probably going to have some sort of like directed web. That's what I was thinking at the time. I was like, they're probably going to try to put some in the houses. So I wasn't up on it. Then all of a sudden, the schools, the next couple months or the next year, decided to give all the children laptops, free laptops. They don't give free nothing. They didn't even give free. They wouldn't even do a proper, books. They didn't make new textbooks. A lot of children had old textbooks because they didn't want to have the money or the funding. You were still having to buy supplies for your classroom and to bring a classroom. Remember the time you had to buy tissues for your classroom, hand sanitizer, which I'm against. You had to buy crayons for the classroom, everything, paper. How come we had to purchase and you didn't have enough money for funding the classroom, where I, as a young girl, used to have everything in the classroom given to my school, but now older, the parents had to purchase everything. So now we purchasing everything for the classroom, but you can afford to give each child in every school a free laptop? That doesn't even make sense. Cooking. You can't update the textbooks, but you could buy a whole $1,500 laptop and give it to every child where they could break it, access. What? Free Wi-Fi. Because remember, even if you started to want to give free Wi-Fi, the parents weren't going to do it. Not everybody wanted that in their house. But what you did is, now that children had a computer at home, what would happen if you didn't have Wi-Fi in your house? That child could not do the work that was now being required on the laptops. So now it was paired together. You would automatically now have to get Wi-Fi in your house. And even so, I remember going away and I forgot to turn off my Wi-Fi. I forgot to turn it off. I forgot what company I had, AT&T, whatever. I forgot to turn it off before I left. I came back. Normally, if you didn't pay your bill, if you didn't pay your Wi-Fi bill, they turn that sucker off. And then you would have to pay a fee to get it turned back on. But when I came back from being away quite a while, my Wi-Fi was on and I got a long bill. And I was like, why didn't they turn it off? Because that was the goal. They were never going to turn off the Wi-Fi because they wanted to get the Wi-Fi in everyone's house. You don't have lead paint on your walls anymore. They needed it as something in your house with radio frequencies to be a catalyst to whatever they were trying to get around. Okay, so now you got a Wi-Fi in everybody's house. Incentivized by your educational system. Your educational system, your Willy Wonka used your children as a source to get these things in your house. Okay, so now everybody has Wi-Fi. Let's go further. So during the whole time when we were locked down, and they said don't leave because the cucarachas is all over. Everybody's going to get sick except the workers, the workers who were outside, who weren't 6 feet apart, who were working day and night, putting up fiber optics and all these new 5G towers all over the place. And remember, somebody opened up the Wi-Fi tower, the little thing inside, the little metal box, and it said COVID-19. Do you remember that? Cooking, cooking. Okay. Okay. So everybody's in the house, but the workers are outside, not even 6 feet apart. Some of them wearing masks, some not, all around each other, right? Okay. Everybody's in the house. I remember that's when Zoom, big up to the Zoomies, because that's when I began Zoom. Zoom was created and began at the time where where we just started lockdowns. Big up to the Zoomies who were there at the time. One of the things that happened to me, that's why I know about the funguses, y'all. One thing that happened to me, as many of you know, I was living in Florida. Hot Orlando, very humid, beautiful, tropical, right? I swim every day. I was always swimming, sweating, going to the gym. Very just, I just had a lot of liquids on me. Let's just say that. Always. Never a problem, just beautiful moisture all day. Do you remember that? I started Zoom at the time. We were up for days, and some of you will remember this because it was such a big deal. I had the weirdest effect on my hair. I had this itching, burning in my hair that I had never felt in my life. Burning all in my scalp, burning, like itching. I couldn't stop it. It was crazy. Many of the Zoomies remember because I was in pain. I have really thick hair, long hair, and my scalp was like on fire. And then it seemed like when I put more water on it, or I put water on it, it would start burning more. So one of the homegirls who was part of Zoom, big up to Narda, who was part of our group, she said to me, "Why don't you try to use Caleb, which is an animal antifungal spray for dogs and cats?" It's a nurse. Big up to Narda. Thank you, Narda, because Narda saved my life. So I was like, an antifungal for cats and dogs? That doesn't make. Fast forward, ivermectin for horses. Okay, just cooking, y'all. I gotta go. I got like 7 minutes. I gotta build this. I gotta build this. So I used this. I bought it. I was like, where am I going to get this? So I ordered online on Amazon. I got the Caleb and I sprayed my scalp. Nothing worked. I washed my hair, put bacon. Nothing worked. I got the Caleb that Narda told me to get for the animals. Guess what happened, y'all? My scalp automatically got better immediately. All the pain went away. All my hair got better. But guess what I had? Because this was an antifungal. That's why I tell you the fungus matters with radiation. Remember, we were being cooked in the house with the radiation. They were turning up the knob. They were putting up these Wi-Fi towers. And some of your neighbors were hosting towers for $30,000 in a house that the government didn't tell you, because some houses had these big towers in them. In order to hide them, they would be in someone's home and they would get paid a lot of money to have them in their houses so that you didn't even know the tower was right next to you. Just FYI. Okay? So the callus that I put in my hair automatically got rid of it. I realized, oh my God, I had a fungus in my hair. All the years of living in Florida, many of you know me for years. I always had my hair wet because I was always swimming. I wash my hair. I'm a mess. I'm a hot mess, literally. Sweaty, hot mess. I go to the gym all the time. Even if I wash my hair, I'm not drying it. So I always had hair that was wet. There wasn't ever a time that I got a fungus into my hair until we were locked in our homes with those radioactive frequencies and those motherfuckers putting towers and fiber optics all over our neighborhoods, that I got a fungus in my hair. Thank goodness for Narda. She had me take something and it was resolved. An animal product. Okay, let's keep going. Let's fast forward. Now we have this going on. Okay. A lot of us couldn't sleep at the time because remember, whenever you're exposed to a lot of radiation or radioactive frequencies that you're not used to, it disturbs your circadian rhythm, your sleep. So many of us on Zoom couldn't sleep because we didn't realize we were being pumped with new frequencies amplified by your Willy Wonka outside and inside, using your Wi-Fi center to amplify inside your house, affecting the meridians of your body. I'm cooking. Let's go fast forward. During this time, this is when the era of veganism begins. Why does this matter? Because normally you say veganism is great. Eating fresh vegetables and fruits, it's wonderful. It's so awesome. You get fresh things, it's not processed, it's wonderful. No one talked about the what do you call it? The crystals that are inside of the vegetables, right? The what's it called? Oh my God. I gotta go. So I only got like a couple minutes. I gotta go. Hold on. It'll come to me. It'll come to me. Oh gosh, it's in the food. It's in the vegetables. Darn it. Because I'm trying to rush, y'all. I hate when I don't have it's in my head. Hold on. It's the someone name it. You know it's on my tongue. It's in the food, it's in the vegetables, it's the crystals. It's people have hypersensitivity to it because if you have too much, it causes gallstones and so on. Oscillates. Thank you, recalibrate. Oh my God, I love when you're in my head. Thank you. Oscillates. We cooking, let's get it. Oscillates, right? So this is during the time many of you could go back to the videos when I was on my parents' deck in New York, upstate New York. Go look at the old video because listen, I'm not new on the block. I'm around the block. Go look at that old video. When I make the video, I said, how come they're promoting veganism? I said, I've been eating vegetables because I'm an animal lover and I'm an animal activist. So my reason for not messing with meats a lot of time wasn't for health reasons. It was because I didn't want to participate in the abuses and the hurt and the harm to animals. That's a long way. That's a long life that I've lived where I've had such heartache from what they do to animals. And this is my life. So it's not, I didn't wake up like this, y'all, because back in the days, and you could verify this with high school people, I was making, if I had a speech to make, it was about hurting animals and cows. So don't act like I just started to become some sort of vegan or vegetarian when it was just trending. I was like that from a little girl, and I have proof that I was doing that from younger. So I had so many times when I got sick from not eating meat because I felt this compassion. I just say that. But if you go back to a video, this is around, go look at my old videos, like 2016 or 17, and I said, why are they promoting veganism? Okay, I gotta, oh my God. Okay, I may have to come back, y'all. Should I make a part two? Okay, I gotta make a part two because I gotta end up going. I got so much to say. I gotta go because I have to go take care of something and I gotta be back. Let me just go further. They were promoting veganism and they were promoting natural hair. They were promoting natural hair, not to lunars, because lunar girls generally will wear the hair any which way. Brown women to wear their hair natural in the natural coils. I'm gonna probably have to come back to you, but I know I gotta go. They were promoting this because the oscillates are also a trigger and triggered by radioactive frequencies. And it also messed with the blue fields in your phones because it was like a nano and it was affecting your meridians and making you more susceptible to nano infiltrations. I talked about this from, you got to watch the old videos. I'll probably share them. I'll probably find the videos and try to share them in my community just so you can see where I'm coming from. The natural hair movement was a psyop, y'all. It was a psyop, not because they didn't want you to be, because they wanted you to be natural and have your natural coils. They knew because of that experiment that they did on those boys in Mississippi or Alabama. Watch the man with the hole in his head. They had found a way to incept the coils of melanated people with coily hair. That's why he had a hole in his head. It was successful. When they successfully did that is when they created the psyop for natural hair movement. When they created the natural, because I think even his thing was probably before even the 70s. They had found a way. Please get the time frame, y'all. I gotta go. Get the time frame of the man with the hole in his head and see when the experiment was. It was probably before the 60s, before the Black Power movement came in too, because they were incepted as well. All I have to say is the brown hair movement to wear your hair to be natural and to have your hair with coils was a psyop. It's the most beautiful way to wear your hair. I support wearing your hair natural. I don't want you to put chemicals. That's why they started to demonize perms and to push out all these lawsuits towards perms. They didn't want brown women perming their hair anymore. That's why you see them have all these whenever they start giving mass lawsuits and putting it out, they're doing it themselves. it's a controlled opposition position. They want you to stop doing, when they do it to medications, because the medication is a mitigator to something they want to infect you with. So whenever they start pumping these things out for lawsuits, is because they want you to stop doing it. Because straightening your hair is like deadening it. It's almost like shaving your hair off, because your central nervous system is no longer attacked or susceptible to these frequencies. That's why they started to have lawsuits for perms at the same time promoting for natural hair movements for coily hair. They wanted you to be susceptible to infiltration from the rogue radionics that they created specifically for your people, that they already tested on those boys in Mississippi, and they incepted you. I gotta go, y'all. I hope this is helpful. I'm going to come back. I'm cooking. Please write and help everybody else. Share your own opinions. I can go further, but I got to go. I got to go take care of something. I'm sorry I'm going to leave so early. I hope this was helpful. Please share comments to be helpful to everyone else. We can go a little further because there's so much more I could discuss, but I think I hit the topic. You understand what I'm saying? I kind of cooked for that long. Build, 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 and I will be back probably on Zoom. We'll kind of expound upon this, but I'll give some mitigators. I'll do it. When's Zoom? Is Zoom today or tomorrow? I'll be on Zoom tomorrow night. Yeah, I'll be on Zoom tomorrow night, and I'll give you the mitigators that I found out that we could do, because this was the setup. Okay? I love you. I wish you well. Take a lot of these things. Don't believe me. I could be crazy. I could be lunatic. Go vet it out yourself. Okay? Peace.